Run, party, repeat. Welcome to the East Coast Adventures Dirt and Vert Podcast, where we talk all things running, racing, and training to help you get ready for your next big adventure.
Learn from our successes and our failures, and have fun at the same time. Join us right here every week with inspiring guests who share their captivating tales from the trails. And remember, nobody cares.
Run faster. All right, welcome back to the Dirt and Vert Podcast. I'm David.
And I'm Matt.
And we have the Yeti 100 first place overall winner with us today, April Bailey. Got the pleasure of running with her in the last two races I've ran, actually, or three races, I should say. We did the entire, what is it called, April? What is it? Start from the Heart. Start to Heart series. Yes. So we signed up for the Start to Heart series this year, which was a Yeti series of Troublesome Hollow 50K, the Damn Yeti 50 miler, and the Yeti 100 mile endurance run. So we didn't know that we signed up for this at the same time, but it's been kind of cool to see because we both ran Troublesome Hollow, we both ran Damn Yeti, and we both ran Yeti 100. So I've got to spend a little bit of time with April and learn about her. And what's really funny is I was having an absolute terrible training block this time. And me and Mary were looking at your Strava, and Mary's like, April's runs look really good. And I looked at Mary and I said, and Mary had actually already told Jason this too. She had told me later, but I said, I'm pretty sure, I think April's going to win the whole Yeti thing. And she said, I said, I'm pretty sure she's going to win Yeti 100. She's got a good chance. And Mary said, I already told Jason that. She said, nothing against you. She said, but I already told Jason that. I was like, no, I agree. I was like, she's doing great. And, and it all just fell perfectly together for you. Like you had such a great race.
Thank you.
And you had a great performance at Damn Yeti 52. And that's where I really got to first realize who you were. Cause we were standing there at the finish line, and, all three of us, myself and Josh Crawford, were sitting there talking with Mary and got to learn a little bit about you. But today we'll get to learn a whole lot about you. So April, if you don't care, tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got into running.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be with you guys. So a little background. I'm from Bristol, Tennessee, but I grew up in Georgia. Went to high school, college, grad school there. I did not run in high school. In fact, I didn't really run at all. I played basketball, so the extent of my running was suicide sprints and laps around the gym, but that was pretty much it. And then I really didn't start running until college, and even then it wasn't in a competitive way at all. It was more just to try to lose weight. You've heard of the freshman 15. I packed that on pretty quick once I got to college. So I started running just to lose weight and get in shape. I did a few like 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons. And then we moved to Boston when I was in my early 30s for my husband's job. And I had an opportunity then through my work to get a bib for Boston. So that was my first marathon. And I loved it. It was a great experience. So over the course of the next several years, I did maybe, 6 or 7 more marathons. But instead of getting faster, I was getting slower. And I just attributed that to getting older. And I just figured, I'm getting older and this is what happens. So I was getting pretty discouraged. And I guess it was after my last marathon in I kept trying to qualify for Boston. That never happened. So, I said, you know what, after this marathon, that's it. I'm done. It's not really fun anymore. So that was pretty much the end of my illustrious running career. I was about 41 at the time, and I pretty much just stopped running.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
And then you started back when?
Well, I guess, so we moved to North Carolina in 2019. And even then, I wasn't running. I was doing a lot of hiking and backpacking. I went on a fast pack trip to the Great Smoky Mountains. We did the 72-mile section of the AT through the Great Smoky Mountains. And that was more hiking than running, but because I think it's about 20,000 feet a gain. But we did a good bit of trail running, and that was my first time running trails, and I absolutely loved it. And I was like, this is way more fun than running on the road. So, and one of the guys on the trip was an ultra runner, and he was like, "Well, if you like this, you should consider trail and ultra." And I was like, "What's that?" It was totally foreign concept to me. And I was like, "Yeah, we run 50Ks and 50 miles and 100-mile races." And I was like, "Well, like over the course of a week?" Or he's like, "No, like at one go." And I was just fascinated. And he was telling me how put your food and hydration in a vest, and you just kind of run all day and run through the night. And I was just really intrigued by that. So I came home and got online and started, researching it. And I came across this little website called Ultra Sign Up. And I think I signed up for my first ultra that day. And that's, I just felt excited about running again. So yeah, that's when I signed up for my first ultra. That was in the end of 2021 or fall of 2021.
That's awesome. That's a cool story. I love the fact that trail running is what did it for you to kind of snap you out of it. I hate that you never qualified for Boston, because I feel like you could qualify for Boston now.
I finally did this year, actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Yeah. It only took me 15 years from the first time I tried, but yeah.
It took you training for ultras.
Yes. Yep. Definitely.
I mean, and there is also such a huge difference in trail running versus road running as far as the ability. You probably, when you first started trail running, did it feel harder? Even though you enjoyed it, did it feel harder to you? Like you ran slower?
Oh, definitely. Especially not just the terrain, but the climbs obviously were much more difficult. And the footing, I didn't have any trail shoes at the time, so I was just trying to bang out a 10-mile trail run in road shoes, and just didn't work out too well. But once I started getting proper gear, I enjoyed it more. And yeah, I've just never looked back.
Yeah. I love it. So you sign up for, I'm assuming this very first race is probably correct, but I do realize sometimes everybody's races aren't on here. But was this your first race? Was the Pilot?
Yes, the Pilot Mountain. Yes.
So
yeah,
so you just jumped straight into a 50K.
Yeah, I was like,
I love it. I mean, you'd already ran enough marathons. I guess it was probably
and I was
not much different.
And I guess it's kind of a newbie's way of looking at it. But I was like, I've run a marathon. I've run a bunch of marathons. What's 5 more miles? How hard can it be?
Yeah, definitely.
Famous last words. But my first 50K it took me a much longer time than I thought it would. But yeah, it was, that's a whole nother story. So I trained all summer for that, and I was really excited about it. And then 2 weeks prior to the race, I had a pretty traumatic event in my life where I suffered a great loss. And I was devastated, and I had decided, I can't do this race. My heart's not in it anymore. And I was, I was pretty just really sad and down. My husband and my family just urged me and kind of convinced me ultimately to do the race, saying this could be therapeutic for you, and you've worked so hard for it. It'd be really good for you. And ultimately it was. I did the race, and it was therapeutic in a way. But afterwards, I was kind of faced the reality of what had happened, and I was still really sad and depressed. So for a while there, I did not run again after that ultra, just because I couldn't get myself there emotionally. So in fact, I spent a couple of weeks, honestly, just kind of laying in bed crying and just being really, really down. And again, my family and my husband were like, just try to get out the door and go for 1 mile and see if that doesn't make you feel better. And after their urging for a couple of weeks, I did that. And I went out for 1 mile, and I only did 1 mile because that's what I promised them I would do. And I wanted to keep my promise. And I just go in the woods and run for 1 mile. And then I just kind of collapse down on the ground, lean back up against a tree, and just sit there and cry, question God and the circumstances. But that went on for a couple of weeks, and then 1 mile became 2, became 3. And before I knew it, I was running, 2 or 3 hours through the woods, and I was still crying a lot and still questioning God and still, mad at the circumstances. But in a way, it was cathartic and cleansing. And I, through that, kind of found the joy of running again. And that became my coping mechanism for a while. So then I signed up for my next ultra a couple of months later, and that was a timed event. And for that one, I ended up on the podium, and I was like, hey, I kind of like this.
And I got to be honest, that is a really, really good time for your very first 12. I mean, I'm sorry, distance for your very first 12 hours. You did 64 miles.
Yeah.
I mean, most people, if they get to 50 miles in 12 hours, is pretty happy. For you to go do your very first one and hit 64 miles, that's impressive.
Oh, thank you. I was so excited. I remember I was talking to my mom and my sister and brothers, my husband throughout the day on the phone, and I was like, I just hit 50K and I still feel really good. I'm going to go for 50 miles. And they're like, what, 50 miles? And I was like, I'm going to try. And I got to 50 and I still had a bunch of time on the clock. And I was like, I'm going to go for 100K. And, and I did. And it was, like I said, that's when, after that race, that night, something clicked. And I was like, I love this. And this is what I want to do.
I love it. Well, and I mean, you're good at it. You've definitely progressed to a point and that's what I was just looking at. I don't know if you've seen me like scrolling back and forth a minute ago, but I don't know if you've looked at this, but your very first 50K was in October of 2021, and then you ran Yeti 50 in June of 2025. 50K, 50 miler.
Yeah.
They're less than 5 minutes apart in time.
Oh no, I had not looked at that. Wow.
Yeah. So that shows
that's cool.
How much you've improved in 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 years, that is really impressive.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean,
admittedly, I didn't know what I was doing, that first race.
I still don't know what I'm doing.
No, I don't either. I'm not saying I do now, but I feel like I definitely know more than I did then. I remember at that Pilot Mountain race, people were walking the hills, and I was like, why are they walking? It's so early in the race, and I'm like passing them, and I'm like, see a sucker, and just feeling really cocky. And then, 20 miles in, I'm hurting. So that was one of my first big lessons.
And that's I will say that's the one thing about ultras that I can truly say, they humble you
quickly.
Oh, for sure.
When you feel like you do have something figured out, or you got that confidence, or you're a little cocky, it doesn't take long to bring you back down to reality.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. And sometimes you need that. I definitely have needed it.
We all need that. There's been a couple of times where I've had a really strong, really good race, and I go out the next race and it's absolutely awful. And I'm just like,
yep,
well, we're back here.
Yep.
Back where we need to be.
Exactly.
Well, and then, you sign up for Yeti 24 hour and you do the virtual race. That was during kind of still COVID time after that.
Yeah.
I think we're still having problems getting races on, but leading up to that, I don't know if that's what got you into the Yeti races, but that following year you signed up for Yeti 100.
Yes. So I wanted to do a Yeti race. So going back to after my second race, that timed race where I got the 64 miles, I was looking for the next race, probably that night or the next day. And somewhere soon after that, I discovered the Yeti Trail Runners, and I was like, these are my people. They're, what Jason has built in that community, and it's just something I really wanted to be part of. So at the time, I believe the Damn Yeti, if I recall correctly, that went on sale or opened up registration back in Thanksgiving, so I had already missed that one. It was sold out. I think the next available race, Yeti race, was the 100, and that was when it was still a lottery. So I was like, well, I have no business signing up for a 100 miler, but I really want to do a Yeti race. I want to see what it's all about. I want to, be a part of that, and I'll put my name in the hat. And if I get pulled, then it was meant to be. And if I don't, then I'll find something else. Well, I got, pulled. And so I was like, all right, it's on. So then I just started, scouring the internet for training plans. I think I just found some random plan on Reddit or something like that. I, again, didn't know what I was doing, but just read everything I could, started listening to podcasts and reading race reports. And yeah, I trained all that year, and I think I did a couple of races leading up to it, maybe 1 or 2 races leading up to the Yeti, my first Yeti. But yeah, that was also a humbling experience. That was the year that Hurricane Ian came through. Were you there that year, David?
No, I think that's the year. Is that the year Mary got hit in the head?
Yes. That's right. Yeah, that was horrible, and people were just dropping like flies because from hypothermia, and that was a pretty scary experience. And I hated that for Mary. I didn't know about that had happened until after the race, of course.
Yeah.
But
it was really fun that she got to the gentleman that actually picked her up and helped her.
Yeah, she saw him this weekend, didn't she?
Yeah, he was at Yeti 100 running.
Yeah.
So that was a small
world.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
Yeah, kind of fun. So I got to meet him. But yeah, that's crazy. So I didn't realize you had ran it the same time till Mary was telling me at the race, because she was saying, I didn't realize April ran it the same year I did. We were talking about that. So that's really cool. And you had a good time there, 21 hours.
Yeah.
Your first 100-miler, that's really strong, especially in a hurricane.
Yeah, and I really wanted to quit. I remember coming into, several times, but especially at Green Cove when we went back up and it was just so cold and the rain wouldn't stop. I get really bad Raynaud's in my fingers, and I had lost like all circulation in my fingers, and they hurt so badly. I didn't have a crew, but some of my family members had come to see me, and they like ran to Dollar General or wherever's close by and got some, some of those hot hands and stuffed them down in some gloves for me, and that kind of saved my fingers. And then when I got back to Alvarado, I wanted to quit because I was just so miserable. It wasn't my body that was hurting. I was just so cold, and I felt like I'm going to die. And I was really scared of running from there all the way to Abingdon in the dark by myself in the pouring rain, freezing rain. But yeah, my sister was like, you're going to do this. You didn't come this far to just come this far. You're going to go. And she like pushed me back onto the trail, and off I went. So
that's awesome. And that was a hard year to run it for sure. And what you probably had not been really exposed to conditions like that.
Nothing like that. No.
Would it bother you now?
I certainly wouldn't prefer it, but
but you'd be more prepared for it.
Yes, definitely more prepared. And I feel like after honestly going through that, I wouldn't be afraid of it, or I wouldn't be worried. I'd be much more adept at problem solving than I was then. I definitely have more tools in my kit to combat the elements and those conditions.
You're gonna run a 100-miler, you got to be like MacGyver out there.
Yeah,
have everything, no matter what the conditions are. Just have it all ready.
That's right.
Well, that's impressive though. Great job for that. I didn't.
Thank you.
I didn't put it together back. That was during the hurricane when I just looked at that, but I should have known because Mary just told me that not too long ago.
And she still finished 4th female.
Yeah.
In her first 100.
Yeah, that was also very exciting. I was like, wow, this is. I can't believe I'm doing that,
Yeah.
And granted, a lot of people dropped, and I hate that for them, but so there wasn't as many competitors as there normally is, but it was still very exciting.
Absolutely.
Well, that's awesome. And just a question, I guess back then, how many buckles did you get back then when you finished? Was it just one?
2. Still got 2. You got the finisher's buckle and then the sub 24.
Well, you and Mary, you all just have a collection of Yeti buckles at this point.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Because I got 2 for that one, and 2 for the next one, and then 3 for this one.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's very, like if you look at my buckle collection, it looks like, oh, you've done, 15 100-milers. No, those are just 3 Yeti.
Yeah, he gives the buckles away, which is kind of cool. The skateboard's nice touch too.
Yeah.
So let's go on, and I want to talk about Dark Anchor.
Yes.
So we could talk about the freight train 100K that you did, and you did Triple X 40-miler, freight train, and then a couple more of the Yeti races that were, I think they were online at that point. But the Dark Anchor, 12 Days of Yeti, that's an online one too, right?
That's an online, yeah.
Yeah. But Dark Anchor, that's the Jekyll Island. 34 hours. You were third female.
Yeah, so that was when originally it was in Savannah. I think that was the first year he put it on. And that was a really fun course. It was really pretty it was like I want to say it was like a 3.5 mile, maybe 4 mile loop in Savannah.
Oh, that's right. We just moved it.
Yep.
It's already,
just moved it
it's
this
already
year.
updated on your.
I know, it's weird. I
didn't
saw
even
that.
think about that. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it was Savannah. But yeah, that was super fun. And I wanted to go for more than 100, but I think it was around mile 80. I got a really bad blister on my foot, and it was a suffer fest to get to 100. And I wanted to keep going, but I don't know, I just couldn't. And in fact, I ended up having. Do you know what a degloving injury is?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that's what happened to not my whole foot, but my toe. Like just pulled right off. It was
You know
bad.
what degloving is?
No.
Degloving is where the skin basically just comes completely off.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Did
it
you
was
continue
horrible.
running, or is that when you stopped?
So I did continue running. It hadn't gotten to that point yet. It was just a horrible blister, and it was peeling. And I tried to, I wrapped tape around it after every loop. And then when I tried to rewrap it for the next to last loop, I tried to take that tape off, and that's when everything, skin and all, came off. So I couldn't even really walk. So thankfully, I think Jason even told us, prior to the race, pack your trekking poles, because if you get tired, they're helpful. And I was kind of laughing to myself, and I was like, in Savannah, trekking poles, but whatever, I'll take them. And I'm glad I did, because I ended up using those for the last 2 laps, and that was the only way. And I just was hobbling, for those last 2 laps. But I got the buckle, and I wanted to go longer, but I guess I wasn't tough enough to keep pushing through that. So I got the buckle, and I was done.
Yeah.
Well, there's
And
a
that took
very
a long time
fine.
to heal from.
Oh, I bet. And there's a very fine line between tough and just a bad decision.
Yeah.
And you were getting close to that bad decision, so
Right.
it's that's probably the smart thing to do, was to stop.
Yes. When I
All you
got
do
home,
is prolong
what's
getting
that?
to run again. I said all you
Yeah.
do is prolong getting to
Yeah.
run again when you do
Definitely. I sent a picture to a colleague of mine who's an orthopedic surgeon. He was like, yeah, you need to go see a plastic surgeon for that, because that's going to need some help. And thankfully, I got some, all kinds of supplies to kind of treat it myself after I saw the physician for the first time, and it healed really well, but it took a long time. And you're right, it did prolong my return to running. So that was a kind of a note to self moment. And the thing is, I felt like a little pebble or a rock or something in my shoe, like around mile 60, and I ignored it. So I was like, it's annoying, but it's not that big of a deal. And I should have addressed it right then and there. But so that was also a valuable lesson.
Yeah. Sometimes those little things that you ignore, you don't realize
they build up
hours and hours later what can happen.
Yeah.
And it happened to me at Yeti this time. I did not, I started with a singlet, and I normally, take the singlet off pretty quick, but I ran all the way to Damascus this time, and by the time I got there, both nipples were completely shaped and just burning. And I don't ever put anything on there. Like, I never put anti-chafing on there, and I should start doing that. But by the time I got there, I was just like, and I got some gels and stuff from Mary and Chris, and I about started running. I was like, oh no. And I took the singlet off, and Mary's like, I was waiting on that. I was like, oh yeah. But I didn't even tell them at that point, because the whole thing was we weren't talking about anything that was wrong with me that day. So no
negativity.
Kept running.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I felt it in the beginning and just didn't think about it. I should have rubbed some chafing cream or something on there, but I didn't. And by the time that I got all the way to Damascus, it was too late.
You're paying for it. Yep.
Yeah. It's just like that little pebble that, miles and miles later, it started a blister, and then that turned into.
Yeah.
But I mean, you still got the buckle.
Yeah, I got the buckle, so it was worth it.
And you got podium.
Yeah, that was also a nice little perk.
So then we jump on up here. So we're in that was 2023 for the Dark Anchor, and you did Damn Yeti 50 last year. You did the
I did the
55K?
55K last year.
Okay. Man, that's crazy.
I think that was last year. Yeah.
Yeah. You did it in 6 hours, and you did the Yeti. Of course, the Yeti Spaghetti's part of it.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much you have improved just in the last 2 years.
Yeah. Thank you. I really kind of got focused and locked in on more structured training. Started doing some speed work, started lifting, some more strength training, and that I feel like has made a huge difference. And I've also had fewer injuries. In fact, knock on wood, this year has been pretty much injury free, which has never happened for me. And I think that's due in large part to strength training,
Mhm.
and just kind of guarding my joints better.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you look at 2023, you did Damn Yeti 55K and you ran it in 6 hours.
Yeah.
You ran 50 miles in what, 7 this year?
Let's see. Yeah, it was 7:02 or something like that.
Yeah. So I mean, just that's a huge improvement in 2
Yeah.
years. And you're right. I mean, strength training is a huge component of that, but also, and the strength training has probably helped you a lot with just your power,
Mhm.
and also with injury prevention, but structured training obviously has helped you a lot.
Yeah.
Because you not only with the strength training has helped you to probably to continue the structured training because you've been able to keep your miles up without getting
Right.
injured.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have like in 2 years you have, I mean, that's impressive. You
Yeah,
shaved,
thank you.
I mean,
Hours.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you ran 31 miles in 6 hours in 23. And you run 50 miles in just an hour more
Yeah.
2
I hadn't
years
looked at it like that, but yeah,
later. Yeah.
it's
I mean, that's really good. Like, that's
thank you.
impressive.
Thank you. I should also add I joined a run club this year, and that's been super helpful. So shout out to my run club. They're called Tough here in Raleigh. But that's been really helpful in just the community, and there's some amazing runners in that group, and I've learned a lot from them. Not just the community, but the accountability. And there's certainly some competitive juices flowing, but they're very, very supportive too and encouraging, and so that's been really helpful as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's definitely better together,
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
Don't do that stuff alone. If you can meet one time a week, like, that makes a huge difference,
Yeah.
just being able to meet somebody one time a week and run.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's jump on up here now and go to I wanna jump into 2025 now. It looks like you didn't race a lot in 2024.
Let's see.
You did Damn Yeti, and you did Shakuri, and that was basically it, really.
Oh, so I was there for the Yeti 100. That was again going to be my A race last year. Yep, you too. That's right. Yep. I was up there, the night before, super excited. In fact, I was meeting with my crew. We were having our crew meeting. Jason at that point had moved it to Saturday, I believe. And so, we were just talking about a few changes, and I was literally kind of had my clipboard and I was going over my notes with my crew when the email came in from Samantha that it had been canceled. And I'm ashamed to admit this, but at first I was like, I didn't realize the scope of what was going on, there in Damascus. But my first response was, I was just so disappointed. I had worked so hard for this race. I felt really good about it. And it was going to be my Western States qualifier. But then, when I realized the scope of what was really happening and people losing their homes and lives and whatnot, I was like, well, how could I be disappointed about a race? And that really put everything into perspective, of course. I was able to had the opportunity to go down to West North Carolina and volunteer for several weekends, and that was it was really sad, of course, but it was very fulfilling to help people and just try to give back to the community any way that I could. So yeah, that's probably, I hadn't thought about that, but that's why looks like I didn't do much because I had all my eggs in that basket, unfortunately.
Well, don't worry, I
And
was out there with you.
yeah, that didn't happen, but
Yeah, it's me and Mary were talking about it on the way up to this Yeti because it's been such a different training block this year for me. I've always had pretty good training blocks. Last year was the best training block I'd had. Like going up to Yeti 100, I was probably the best shape I'd been.
yeah.
I was really disheartened when Yeti 100 didn't happen, but we were right there in the middle of town. We saw it happening, so we knew like
So you
what was
knew.
going on.
You were staying right there in Damascus?
We were in the we were above the ice cream shop, so we
Oh,
actually
wow.
got evacuated.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
By the time we got the car loaded, the water was already up to the tires on my Lexus, and we were
Jeez.
trying to get out. And so I kind of knew that. I was still disheartened because of all of the work, obviously, you put in for a 100-miler. But man, and then this training block has just been garbage. Like
Oh.
I fought for every mile. Like
Oh
nothing has
man.
went right. And me and Mary were just laughing about it. And I told her, I said, I can't wait just to get the race done.
Yeah.
Like to get that monkey off my back,
Right.
like because it's almost like I told her, I was like, I think I've got your Yeti curse.
Oh no.
Because she did it 3 years in a row
Yeah.
to finally to win it.
Right.
And because the first year her and Amy raced it, and I think she got second. It was Amy, then her. Then the second year, she was winning, and that's when the tree
That's
hit
when
her
she
in
got
the
hit.
head at
Yep.
like mile 80. And then she went back the following year and
Yeah.
then won it. So
Yeah.
but I told her, I was like, don't worry. I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm not going back. I was like, I'm just doing it once and then I'll let someone else race it. I
Yeah.
was like, I'm ready to go run a trail again.
Yeah, well, I
Right.
miss you back on the trails. He's not
Yeah.
been any of our trail stuff because he's been concentrating on this.
But
Okay.
it's done. But it was just funny. We were laughing about it. So I understand, like, how disheartened you were last year, because that's like, I was the same way. Like
Yeah.
you had spent all, like I didn't go on the trail runs. I didn't
Yep.
go on the group trail runs. I didn't do any of that. I focused on Yeti.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
what I
why,
did too.
and just like you, I think me and you had the same strategy. You run Yeti 50 as a training run to get
Yep.
you ready, see what you need to work on.
Exactly.
And like Yeti 50s went well, and even the training block up to Yeti 50 this year went well, but everything after that, it just fell apart. I mean, it was anything you could think of that went wrong.
Yeah. Well, you also, didn't you do mid-state like a week after or 2 weeks after?
That's where it all went wrong.
Yeah.
That was a bad decision. Bad decision.
Yeah.
So-
Pete and I know that.
You would think, like I said, I still make bad decisions. So, but it was fun. It was not worth everything that I paid for it.
Yeah.
But okay. But let's talk about your other race this year, and how you kind of started 2025. And that's you signed up for. We talked a little bit about this before we started the podcast, but Umstead 100, and that was going to be like your practice round, your training
Yeah.
run for Yeti 100.
Yes.
And you were third place female,
Mhm.
19 hours.
Yep.
So pretty dang good performance there
Yeah,
as well.
Thank you.
But tell us a little bit about what your strategy was to kind of get ready for Yeti,
Yeah.
and also like what went well and what didn't.
Yeah. So, the Umstead is here in Raleigh. It's practically in my backyard. I live in Cary, so maybe it's a 20-minute drive for me. And it's got a lot of history. The race directors are wonderful people. And I had volunteered at the race a couple of times and seen how awesome it is. And I really did want to be a part of it. So I just decided, the Yeti 100 was always my A race. I had done it twice. I really wanted to improve on my time at Yeti, but I wanted to do Umstead kind of I hate to say not as a training run, but as a rehearsal, kind of for Yeti, to try out different nutrition and pacing strategies. And I was fortunate enough to have some of my tough running group friends crew me and pace me as well. So I did the first 50, and then after 50 miles, you can have a pacer. So I had a pacer for the next 50 miles, a different pacer. So yeah, that day was really hot. I want to say it set a record or came close to setting a record. It was in the 90s. So I just started off slow and easy, and I made a decision early on, in fact, before the race, to walk all the hills from the very get-go. Because it's a pretty good rolling course. There's some nice flat stretches, some good downhills, but also some good uphills. And I stuck to that. So from the very first lap, right out the gate, I walked every hill, ran the downs, ran the flats. And that's not something you can do at Yeti now that White Top is out of the picture. And go back to Yeti, I feel like that made it much more difficult for me personally this year, knowing when to walk or when to kind of dial it back. But we'll get to that. So, but Umstead went really well for me. I have to say, I didn't really have any low points. I started running out of gas the last loop. It's 12 and a half mile loops. So I started, actually the next to the last lap, excuse me, I started feeling, okay, I'm ready for this to be over. But like I said, I had great pacers that just kept pushing me, and I never really had a moment where I thought about quitting or, not finishing. It was just, okay, let's get this done. So I had really good luck, I guess you could say, with my nutrition. I never really got sick. I tried to do like the IV drip method where I was just taking little sips from the very beginning. Like every 20 minutes, I was just taking in a little bit of calories. I started with Tailwind and gels, and then towards the afternoon, started adding in a few more solids. But my nutrition plan went really well. One thing I did do for this race I had not done before, I spent a lot of time calculating calories and carbs needed per hour. And I made a whole spreadsheet and gave it to my crew and said, all right, this is what I want to do for each lap. So I made sure I stayed on top of my sodium, my carbs, calories, and I never went into a deficit. I never felt like I was, in the hole, nutrition wise. So that was one thing I did take with me into Yeti, because that did work really well for me. Whereas in previous races, I have made the mistake way too many times where I would do pretty well initially with taking in calories, and then when you don't feel like eating, I would just stop eating, and that never works out well. So I did at Umstead, I kind of made myself stay on that schedule of taking in calories and taking in hydration. The other big thing that saved my race at Umstead was, do you remember, did you get an ice bandana from Jason, David, from one of the
No, I
races?
didn't, but Mary did, and I was actually using that Yeti. So
yeah, so that thing turned out to be a lifesaver. I would load that, or my crew would load it up with ice, and I just tie it around my neck. The bad thing is the water, as it melted, would drip, run down in my back into my shoes. So I did get some heel blisters from that, but nothing horrible. But just staying iced down really made a huge difference.
yeah.
But yeah, that race was a great experience. I'm not sure where I ran in the field throughout the race, because it's hard to keep up with doing all the laps. The
When
loop
you're doing
course.
loops like that, it gets confusing.
Yeah. But I certainly didn't expect to finish as well as I did. So that was super exciting. And after I did that well, I said, this really gives me fuel, adds fuel to my fire for Yeti. And I think I can definitely PR my Yeti time, and then possibly PR my 100-mile time. So my first Yeti was 21 and a half hours. My second Yeti was 20 and a half hours. And I felt confident that I could, better those by a good bit based on my Umstead performance. So that was just good data to have going into my training block for Yeti.
I'm sure you didn't think you were going to decimate it like you
No.
did.
No.
Which is awesome, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. But now, what was your fueling strategy as far as what did you use to fuel?
So I did Humagels, Tailwind, gummies, scratch, one of those little scratch sour gummies, and then just like Nerds clusters, just a bunch of junk. But
Hey, that works.
It worked.
yeah, it definitely works. And then when I got sick of the sweet stuff and couldn't do any more gels, then I switched more to kind of salty, savory. So one thing that works really well for me is just plain salty stuff, like plain Pringles, plain Ruffles, salted potatoes. So the more bland, the better.
Yeah.
So
Nope. Love it. Those nerd clusters are amazing.
yeah, they are.
They're so good. All right. Well, let's talk about, so you got Troublesome Hollow. So we got to run that one together, the 50K. Did you race that, or did you just use it as a training run?
I intended to race it. I really wanted to do well for that series, for the Start to Heart series. And I had done Troublesome Hollow 2 years prior, I think it was. So I knew what was coming with that climb up to the fire tower. But I think Troublesome Hollow was only 3 weeks after Umstead. And I felt like I was recovered, but turns out I wasn't. And I was, so going up to the fire tower, I don't know what the mileage is there, but there were, I believe, 3 females ahead of me at the time. So go up to the fire tower, come back, and I passed one of them on the way down from the fire tower. And then there's an aid station right after you come down that big long hill. I passed the second female at that aid station. Audrey was like an hour ahead of me. I knew I was not getting anywhere near her, or she may be in 2 hours ahead of me. I don't know. She was so fast, but I was like, all right, I'm in second. I got this. And it was just a straight shot back to, the start or the finish. So I'm just cranking along. And then all of a sudden, I think just a little after the marathon mark, my stomach turned and I was like, oh, this doesn't feel good. I felt nauseous and I was like, all right, I've only got, I can't remember, maybe 5 or 6 miles left. So I kept pushing. And then the nausea just became, I couldn't overcome it. And I stopped. I puked on the side of the trail. One of the females passed me again. We were kind of leapfrogging. So she passed me. So now I'm in third. And I was like, all right, if I can just hang on, then I'll still get a podium. Well, about a mile later, I'm like you said, I was on my hands and knees, puking, like retching. It was horrible. I was like, I don't even know if I can finish. I only had like 3 miles left at the time. Well, then doesn't the third female come blasting past me? And she was like, and I don't know if she did this to be, I'm sure she wasn't being ugly, but it felt like it at the time. But she was like, hope it's a quick puke and rally. And then she like ran off. I was like, oh, there goes my podium placement. So I think I ended up, I can't remember. I think I finished 4th or 5th female.
Yep, 4th.
4th, okay. So yeah, that was a rough ending to that race.
I'm sorry that. Well, at least you made up for it at Yeti 100.
Yeah.
I used Troublesome Hollow as a training run, and I got lost.
How?
I know Samantha said the same. Samantha said something.
How on earth did you get lost on that trail?
That made me like just laugh, because we put on a race on a trail very similar to Troublesome Hollow.
Yeah.
But she said trains don't turn, and I'm like,
right.
I know. But do you know when the trail come out into the road?
Yeah.
I've turned down the driveway.
By the church there?
There was so you come down and you have to cross the road, and then you just keep going.
Yeah.
But when I come down, there's a driveway that sweeps to the left.
Oh my goodness.
And
I know exactly where you turned.
The driveway. But
didn't you see that no other people there?
Well, there were people there, but they just waved and I just kept running. And there was like the worst part is I was in like 3rd.
Oh.
So people started following me. I had like 10 people behind me. And I keep running, and luckily it's still enough. I ran 5 minutes in that direction. Like 5 minutes. And it's funny, if you look at my Strava, you'll see but
yeah.
The only reason I stopped was because there was a sign there that said private property.
Oh my goodness. You're like, wait, this
sign on the tree, and I just stopped and I pulled my phone up, and that woman behind me, she's like, I start walking back. She's like, are we going the wrong way? I said, yeah, pretty sure.
That's what you get for following me.
So I just ran all the way back and just kept going and crossed the road. And I was like, I'm such an idiot. And what was funny is I crossed the finish line, and Jason's laughing. He's like, if you'd have just kept running, it would have brought you back here. He's like, "You just ran that driveway. It just loops back in." I was like, "Yeah, but I wouldn't have made it to the fire tower." He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you got lost."
Oh my goodness.
Samantha's like, "Trains don't turn." I'm like,
Jason says that at the beginning of every Yeti race too. It's like, you can't get lost. Well, you can if you try, but trains don't turn left or right, so neither should you.
Yeah, I don't even. Man, I was just running, and I just. It's like one of those where you do it, and then you're just like, I just got lost on a rail trail. How do you do that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry you had such a rough race at Troublesome Hollow. Like
Yeah.
the puking
It's
stuff.
okay. It happens. That's
but
worse.
you definitely made up for it in your next 2 races. So at least you got it out of the way on that one.
Yes, I am glad for that. Definitely.
Was that like a nutrition thing, or was that just the stomach just going?
I think, I don't know, to be honest, because I've thought about it a lot since then, of course. I think I did get behind on my nutrition, and I think I just looked at it as maybe halfway through the race, I was like, well, I just going to keep pushing. I want to get on that podium. And I was just so fixated on that, which was a big mistake to begin with. I should have just run my own race and been smart. But, once you get a taste of that podium, you want to go back for it every time, So, but yeah, I think I just got behind on my nutrition, and then I had dug too deep a hole to get out of at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy to get fixated on always trying to get, top
and
3.
I'm super competitive with myself primarily, and I always want to do better than I did last time, and it's not always feasible. That's not always going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's just, and that's what's funny is like if you think about it this way, you had that happen in a 50K.
Yeah.
And you executed a 100-miler just now perfect.
Yeah. Thank you.
Like that's the thing is like you never know when it's going to happen.
That's right.
And it just sucks because like you can have the absolute worst race. Like what happened? Like you're coming off Umstead. You've had a great race. Everything went well. You're like, you're probably like, I'm getting this. I've got it out.
I was like, I got this.
And you go gut wrenching on your hands and knees, puking on a 50K, and like, what we were talking about in the very beginning, like how easy it is to get humbled.
Totally.
In an ultra, like.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that was when I ran it in, I felt like a wounded animal, running into Jarian's arms. And then I proceeded to cross the finish line, got my hug from Jarian, and then I felt it coming up again. I went behind the tent or whatever, and I'm just again on my hands and my knees. I forget who it was. Becca's husband, Dan, I believe is his name. He came over there and he was like, okay, what can I get you? And I was like, please go away. This is so embarrassing. Because I was like puking everywhere, and he totally took care of me. He like nursed me back to health over the course of like the next hour and a half. And then it was like the drive of shame back home. I was like, I can't believe I just did that, But like you said, it can be a very humbling experience. But I think the important thing is if you can learn from it, then it's worth it. Because in a way, I don't regret, I wish I would have made smarter decisions, but I learned some pretty important lessons that day and took that with me into my training, into the 50 in June, and, and definitely into the 100, not making the same mistakes.
And that's the thing is like, if you dwell on it, so unhealthy to like beat yourself up over it. The biggest thing is like, what can I do better the next time? Like, why?
Yeah.
Why? And even if you can't figure out why, you're going to have a slight idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's like when, right. When Matt asked me, what do you think it was? I don't know for sure, but I think you're right, Matt, that it was a nutrition thing that I got, tried to take a shortcut and tried to, just push through, not fueling enough just to try to save some time and energy. And that obviously doesn't work.
It'll always catch you. You can make it through like you can suffer through like almost up to a half marathon, probably like that, but you can't run a marathon or a 50K or a 50-miler and let your guard down, and like that's the thing that sucks is like when you're you never know like when a stomach issue may pop up, because it can be more than just you running. It can be something that you could have ate the day before that you're still, but when it happens, it makes if you're doing a 50 or 100, it makes that the most miserable moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, even for that 50K, I'm sure it was a miserable moment.
It was. I was like, I don't remember ever feeling this badly. It was horrible.
Yeah. But, like I said, you took something away from it, and I mean, you still got fourth. That's nothing to even like. That's still great to be on your hands and knees puking and still get fourth place. I'm happy. Yeah. That's what I did at Yeti.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So let's move on now. We got Damn Yeti 50. Obviously, Damn Yeti 50 for both of us was much different this year than it was last year, because last year we got to run the real course.
Yes.
And then this year was the modified course because of the hurricane. And I haven't really got to talk to anybody about this, so I'm glad you're on here. But do you think last year was harder or this year was harder?
Well, last year, I guess it's not really a fair comparison because I just did the 55K. But for me, I think this year was harder. And I think it's more, I do better with some hills. I'm not a strong climber by any means. In fact, I haven't done any mountainous races. It's on my to-do list, my bucket list. But I like having some hills because it kind of tells it's my cue to walk, or at least slow down significantly, and it changes up your muscles. I feel like on the creeper trail from Abington to Damascus, yes, there are some grade changes, but they're very subtle. So I don't feel like you get you don't get a whole lot of a break from using those same muscles over and over and over. So for me, I loved the White Top start, kind of flying down from White Top and then settling into a more reasonable pace from Damascus to Abingdon.
Yeah. I think last year was definitely easier, but it was hard for me to compare because I didn't know if it was harder because I assumed because it was flatter, or just because of that damn rainstorm.
Oh, the rain, yeah. That was horrible too.
And that's what I had told Matt and them was like, when we went to Mid-State, there was like, it was muddy there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the exact same muscles that I'd used at Yeti 50, like trying to pull. Because I tried my best to like not to keep my pace even in the rain at Yeti 50. And that rain and that trail, like where those rocks were missing, and it was like mud.
And you know how it was rutted out? I forget what stretch it was. I want to say it was between Alvarado and Abingdon, where the trail, so normally there's like two tracks kind of going, and there's a grassy median in the center.
Yes.
And so you can run on either side of those two tracks. Well, those two tracks were like rivers.
Yeah, they were flooded.
Then the median was like a boggy, it was like suctioning your foot to it. So that was very difficult. And like you, I was trying to maintain my pace, and it was just, you're fighting so hard just to maintain your pace because it's like the ground is trying to pull you down into it. So
yeah, I think my really time was 10 minutes slower than last year.
Oh, wow.
And my legs were way more wrecked than they were last year. And so for me, I was like, man, was it because of the course, or was it because of the rain, or was it because of both?
I think it was both.
It probably was both.
The rain was pretty savage.
I mean, a tree fell over the court, like
pictures.
Yeah, it was funny. But you still ran a really great race, though. I mean, you were first female.
Thank you.
I think you were probably like only 10 minutes off of Josh and 20 minutes off of me. Like it was all like, we were all pretty close, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if it was that close. I remember when Josh and I passed the last time, and then as we were approaching Abingdon, he kept looking over his shoulder at me, and I could see him. So, and when I did finish, he was like, I said, man, you really turned it on there at the end. He was like, yeah, because I didn't want you to catch me. But I loved running with you guys. It was motivating, and it was it was just great seeing y'all out there.
Well, and I love seeing you cross that finish line. And if I would have known at the time how horrible the time you had at Troublesome Hollow, that would have
Oh,
only
yeah.
made it that much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. That definitely felt like a redemption race at the time because,
Yeah.
I really wanted to perform well at all 3 of these races. And, Troublesome Hollow was, kind of out the window as far as that goes. So it felt really good to do well at Damn Yeti.
Amazing race and great job. What did you,
Thank you.
last year okay, so you podiumed it last year too, the 55K, but this year you won
Yeah.
the 50. That's great.
Move up in distance and win.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what's crazy. Like if you look at her 55K time, even from last year, it was 5 hours, and she ran the 50 miler in 7 hours. So I mean, it's pretty amazing how far
Thank you.
you've just continued to
Yeah.
improve every year. Man,
Well, thank you. I appreciate
awesome.
that.
Let's talk about this amazing performance that you're just coming off of. The 100 miler you ran in 15 hours, 42 minutes. Absolutely just looked like you dominated the course. I mean, that last loop, or I shouldn't say loop, the last out and back.
Yeah.
You just looked so strong, even running then. I remember somewhere about the middle of the course, you were second female at that point. You were already ahead of me, but you were coming back down from Damascus, and I was just about to turn around Damascus, and we were passing because I think I was right there. And I looked at you, and I was like, "You're about to catch first place." And then, and you're like, "Am I?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then as we ran by, I said, and I thought, and I was, we were talking about first place female. I was like, she's right there. But after you ran by, I sat there for a minute. I was still running, and I was like, what am I talking about? She's going to catch the first place male in like 20 more minutes, probably like an hour. Because you looked that strong when you were coming through. And, it's really fun to see someone when they're having their moment.
Yeah.
Yeti 100 this year was definitely like your moment, and that was a very special race for
Oh,
you.
it's so special. Yeah.
Because, I mean, even you, I'm sure you didn't imagine you were going to run a 15-hour,
Never.
30-minute, 100 mile.
No, for every race, I set goals, and I've gotten more, detailed with those goals as I've done more. So for this race, I kind of listed them in order of the bare minimum to acceptable to what's realistic to what I would love to do. And then my final goal was like my shoot for the stars goal. And my shoot for the stars goal for this race, which I really felt that way. I didn't think it was possible unless everything went right and I had a good bit of luck on my side, was sub 17. So my realistic goal was sub 18. I felt confident I could go under 18 based on my Umstead performance and my training block leading up to Yeti. I felt really strong. So yeah, to your point, I never expected that I would, do that well.
You killed it.
Yeah.
What was your plan at the beginning? Like, what was your strategy?
So my strategy was, kind of broad strokes, it was to kind of go out at an all-day pace and just go easy. I've made the mistake, as I'm sure we all have, going out too hard because it feels easy at first. But what feels easy at miles 1 through 30 is not gonna. That same pace is not gonna feel easy 30 through 60, and definitely not 80 through 100. So when the lead pack went out, I wanted to hang with them, with y'all, because it didn't seem like super fast, but it felt a little too fast for me to maintain all day long. So I just tried to be very patient and disciplined, and I purposely forced myself to take a few shuffle steps just to reset and slow down and just stay there. And I wanted to stay in zone 2. That was also one of my big goals, was to keep my heart rate in the 130s. And then my other goal as far as my pacing strategy was at Umstead, I ran it in 19. So I did the first 50 miles, I think I'm remembering this correctly, in 9 hours, and the second 50 in 10 hours. So I thought that's a good goal, strategy wise, to have for Yeti. If I can do the first 50 in like 8.5 hours and the second half in 9.5 hours, That would put me around 18. And then I figured I can kind of adjust up or down based on how I feel. But I didn't want to go out so hard in the first 50 miles that the wheels fell off in the second 50 and I was struggling the whole time to get, to the finish. So that was that was the overarching strategy, was to go slow and easy, go at my all-day pace, and to not have to run the second half any slower than an hour slower than the first half. So when I got to the 50-mile mark, I want to say, I'd have to look back at my cruise notes, but I think that was around 7 hours and 45 minutes or something like that. So I guess it was then that I was like, wow, that's much faster than I anticipated, but I felt good. I still felt really fresh at 50. I didn't really even feel any fatigue setting in yet. And I just told myself, let's just maintain this pace and don't try to push it. Just, keep it slow and easy. And that's what I did. And then I started moving up the field. I honestly don't I don't know when I passed the first male, because people coming from the other direction, they were like, you're hot on her heels, talking about Megan. Or this one guy was like timing it. He was like, one time I passed him, he was like, she's 7 minutes ahead of you. And the next time he was like, she's only 3 minutes ahead of you. And I was thinking to myself, A, how does he know that? B, how is that possible? Zach, I hadn't seen her except at the turnarounds, and it seemed like she was much further ahead. So I know I passed her at an aid station at mile somewhere at Watauga. So I think that was around the 100K mark. And then I just felt like, well, if I keep pushing, then I could possibly hold on to first female. I had no idea at the time that I was anywhere near first male. And it wasn't until I think you passed me and told me that I was getting close to him. And then Josh told me the same thing. And then people I didn't even know were like, donuts, you're about to catch the first male. Even then, I was like, that can't be right. There's no way. And it really wasn't until my last time coming down from Damascus that I was like, I haven't seen him on the past 2 turnarounds. So I think I might be in the front. And then, of course, it was just like holding on. And I just kept praying. I was like, God, please just let me hold on. And I wasn't having thankfully, I wasn't having any nutrition problems. I nailed that, thankfully. But my left calf was getting really tight. I had to stop twice and use the massage gun on it. It just felt like it was going to explode. I just kept trying to hang on, and man, I can't tell you how special it was as I saw those, those big lights around the baseball fields there at that park. I was like, I'm here. I can't believe I'm here, and I'm going to win this thing. So I still get emotional talking about it because it was just really special.
It's a huge deal. You should get emotional. That was a great race. Yeah. You did so good.
Thank you.
It's funny when you say that you were trying to keep up with the lead pack, because I didn't keep up with the lead pack. I made it about 3 miles, and I was like, these guys are too fast for me. And I just
y'all were so far ahead of me. I couldn't even see I couldn't even see y'all after the first mile or so. Yeah.
See, I thought, for some reason, I was thinking you passed me like halfway up the hill.
No. No, it definitely wasn't until much later. In fact, I was I ran by myself for the majority of the race. I think I was just like, there was like the lead pack was up here, and then like the mid packers here, and I was just kind of by myself there for a while.
Yeah.
And I passed Wayne, the taco guy, at some point, and I didn't know where he was in the standings either. But I passed him, and as I'm passing him, as I did everyone, I was like, good job, you're doing great. And he kind of looked at me, he was like, you too. And he like took a double take, and was like, where'd you come from? He's like, you just moved into second, or, whatever it was at the time. So yeah, that was really when that was the first time that I knew that I had really moved up into the top 5 even. So
yeah, it was amazing for most of that race. I ran by myself. I had a few people that ran with me here and there that like might leave the aid station with me and would run a mile or two. But yeah, most of that race I ran by myself. The gentleman that ended up finishing third, goodness, what was his name?
Was it Travis?
Travis, yeah, he was a nice guy. Yeah, Travis. So what's funny? So I had slowed down a lot in the hot part of the day. Did you when it got the sun come out, like I had to slow down because I was like
Oh, yeah.
overheating.
Oh, that was so hot.
Yeah, and
That
I
was
put on
unexpectedly hot.
I put on the
Yeah.
ice bandana, but I didn't slow my nutrition down enough. I kept
Oh,
taking the
Oh.
gels and so it was like mile 40. My stomach kind of went, "Bleh, too
Mhm.
much.
yep.
So I like didn't eat anything for about 10 miles and just drank
Oh,
water and everything come back under control. Like I had so
okay.
many gels in my belly, like
Yeah.
I just kept running.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And then finally, I think Mary and Chris were a little concerned because I wasn't taking anything, but I showed up at is it Alvarado where the barn? Yeah, I show up right there. And I was like, I'm back. And Mary's like, all right, and Chris was like, all right. And I was like, give me my Roctane. And I go back. But what was funny was that whole stretch between mile 40 and it's like 40 and 50 or something like that. Me and Travis. So we were third and fourth like all day
Yeah.
out in there. And we barely ran together. But in this one section, we were like in the, that whole stretch. When you
Running
get to the point
together.
you can't eat, you
Yeah.
kind of get in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up running right beside me. And we're running through that section you were talking about where the grass is earlier.
Yes.
He was in the left side. I was on the right side. We were side by side with our earbuds in. And I finally took my earbud out and I said, how are you doing, man? He's like, I'm just trying to run, man. I'm not in a good place right now. And I said, me neither. I said, and I'll shut up, put my headphones back in. And we talked for like 10 seconds.
That was it.
I put my earbuds back in and we literally ran side by side to almost the next aid station and
My
never said a
goodness.
word, but we just kind of like, we knew we were
That's so
there. And we just
funny.
kind of like,
Yeah.
I fist bumped him and we got there and I was like, good job, man. And we
Yeah.
talked some after that. We would pass some and we laughed, but he was a super nice guy. But it was just so funny. We were both in our moment at the same time. And you're just like side by side, elbow to elbow, just like dialed in.
Just grinding. Yeah. That is
But
funny.
other than that, I was pretty much like, I'd run with a few people, but you were definitely I'd say when you took the lead, you were by yourself the whole time at that point.
Yeah,
How
I
many
never
miles
saw
did you
anyone else
lead?
after. How many miles did I lead?
Yeah,
That I
like
don't know.
30?
It was close to that.
Yeah, I figured you ran. I mean,
Yeah.
you ran a long
It was
ways by
close to that.
yourself.
It was lonely. I know that.
Well, you're kind of getting used to that now. If you're going to podium a race,
No.
you're going to be lonely.
No, it was lonely. I especially that long stretch. Man, it seems like that stretch from Alvarado to Abingdon gets longer as the race goes on.
My gosh, it felt like
Right?
9 miles.
Oh
Like
my goodness.
I was like, you just run forever.
I
That
know.
was a really hard section when it was hot.
Yeah, it was because
I
it's
would run out of
exposed.
water every time before I would get to them.
Yeah.
And I was just like, 'cause I was just running with that one water bottle. And I was like, oh, it was close. I would run like 2 or 3 miles without water.
No, that reminds me. I know I didn't pass you till later because I remember you were running in front of me for a long time and we were headed towards Abingdon. So I don't think it was until after that turnaround. But anyway,
Oh, really?
yeah, because you were way in front of me. I didn't even know it was you at first. This is funny because you had your shirt off at the time, and I was like, that guy's got like perfectly symmetrical back muscles, and like, you just try to do anything to take your mind off of the pain at the time. And I was like, he's got a really nice stride, and his form is great. And then I noticed you pulling that out of your back, your bottle out of the back,
Yeah.
your belt. And I was like, I don't know if I'd like that, having to reach back every time and take it out. And then as I got closer, I was like, I think that I saw your, don't you have a Tennessee tattoo?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was like, I think that's David because I recognize that tattoo. But yeah.
That's so funny.
But you looked good. You looked
Well,
strong.
thank you.
Yeah.
That was probably when the sun came out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I really dialed it back. Mary's like, I'm proud of you. I was like, hey, it's a long race. I'm not doing anything stupid.
Yeah.
And I'm
It was
glad
hot.
I did.
It,
Because
I
I
mean,
was able to run to mile 80, and then I had your 50K
yeah.
at Troublesome Hollow for my last 20. But
Ugh.
like you did the right thing because you started out even slower, and I wished I would have started out a little slower because I would have been able to close stronger.
Yep.
I felt like I was being really smart during the hot part of the day, but I think I went just out a little too fast. And I think you did it just right. Like there's those few moments in races where you don't get them very often, but like there's this race where everything you do just kind of clicks.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you had that. Like you could just tell you were having your day. And like every time I passed you, I was just like, man, she looks so strong. You looked great.
Thank you.
And you were focused, and your little crew was just awesome.
My crew was amazing.
Mary loved your crew. She was talking about it today. She's like, ever talk about her crew. But your crew was dialed in. They were taking care of you.
So let me tell you something about my crew. My crew consisted of my brother, my brother-in-law, and my sister, none of whom are runners really, much less ultra runners. They know nothing about what it takes to run an ultra, except so they crewed me the year before last for the first time, and we didn't. None of us knew what we were doing then. And again, I'm not saying I do now, but I know a lot more. But this year, they watched videos. I sent them all these notes, and they asked questions, and we had FaceTime meetings, and they were just locked in. And, I told them what I wanted to do and my expectations of them. And they're like, yeah, we got this. And each one of them had a specific task. One was like the number cruncher, and one was the nutrition guy. And then the other was, just trying to keep me motivated. And it's really incredible how well they did, not having the ultra running background, but they wanted to see me succeed, and they were just on top of it. So
I love it.
I definitely could not have done as well as I did without them.
Yeah, and I didn't really get to see it too much, but Mary was telling me, and she's like, her crew was awesome, and she had told me like she thought it was your brother and and brother-in-law, and I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But she said they were getting you in and out, and you were doing great, and I was like, I love it.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun just to watch you in your moment. Like that's really cool. Like, because that's really special. You don't always get to see people do that, and every now and then you're just at the race, or you get to see one of your friends do it, or someone, like one of our buddies, Chris Stamen, last year. Was it last year? Yeah, it was last year at the Pistol, and he had ran Hennepin, I think, and he had two big races that, just like you did, like everything went right. And when you see that, it's like, it's rare because you just don't see people have the perfect race, you know? And for you, that's really special because you've done this race multiple times trying to do that, and like you just like me, you were doing the 50, you were doing the 100, you did it 2 years in a row, and you were just like, I want to get this thing over with. I hope it goes good. And I was so happy to see you do it. And when I saw the picture of you coming through the finish line as the first place female, when they posted it, I was like, I love that. I think I'd woke up and saw that the next, I went home and took a nap, because believe me, Facebook does not open on my phone when I'm running.
Right.
I'm not that person, but when I woke up and we were driving back, because we went back to the finish line and watched all the finishers all the way to the end.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
And I was looking on Facebook too, and I saw that one, and I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah,
so
it was cool. So special. Surreal. It definitely was surreal, and it's I mean, it's kind of still sinking in, to be honest. But I'm so happy. It was such a special day.
Yeah, and you're probably, I think I looked at the from start to heart points, and I think me and you are in the top. You're one and I'm two, so that's kind of cool. I don't know if Jason's actually going to do anything with that, but I think it's kind of cool.
It was fun though.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun. So kind of cool. He so in the from the start to heart, he made his own. It has its own like point standing, and you got points for each race. So. And there's like 50 spots, I think. There was 50 entries. Yeah. And so she's first and I'm second. So it has its own little point standings thing, which is kind of cool. And he did the points based on, how you finished in your gender.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But so maybe you might get another buckle.
Yeah. To add to my Yeti buckle collection. Yeah.
Well, so was your fueling strategy kind of the same in Yeti as it was Umstead? Did you kind of stick with that same stuff?
It was, but when I got hot, like you were, alluding to, I couldn't, I don't know, I couldn't stomach the gels anymore. So I switched to solid food much earlier than I planned on. In fact, prior to the race, I had made all these little baggies of food so that my crew could just, and I labeled them like, okay, this is for mile 64 at Alvarado, and I had the number of calories in it, so they could kind of keep track on my sheet for looking at it at a later time to kind of see what worked and what didn't. Well, so I had made baggies for all the stops, and then after like the fourth stop, I was like, no more baggies. It's just gonna be whatever sounds good at the moment. So all that work was for nothing because I used like four out of 60 or something like that.
But you never knew. You
I
didn't
never knew.
know. Yeah.
Right. But to answer your question, yeah, I'm still working on the nutrition thing. So I think that's a work in progress, like anything. Trying to figure out what really works for me, and I guess what works for you one race doesn't work for you the next race. And there's so many factors, the conditions, not just the weather conditions, but where you are that day, where your body is and where your stomach is. So I'm still kind of working on that.
Yeah, I've had some races that have went really well, and I've had others that don't. And it's just so funny because you never can really feel like you've dialed it in.
Yeah.
Because I've been close. Like the Yeti 50 last year was probably the best my nutrition had been. But even then, I threw up at mile 47. And the only reason I threw up is because I had so much on my stomach. I kept running. Like I just threw up and kept running. Overfueled way too much, but it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
It was just like one of those where you're like, oh, that's too much food. Like the gel hit my belly, and I was like, oh, and it just came out. But I had 2 miles left. Like it's fine. So I felt like that was good. But
when you get to the point where it's like sloshing and it feels like nothing's digesting,
that's the bad feeling.
That's the worst.
Yep.
Did you get it back under control by the end of the race? Or
I
were
did.
You
yeah.
Okay. So you weren't battling it all day. You just had during the hot part.
I had like during the hot part, I felt nauseous. I never got sick, but I just didn't feel like, I was like, oh, nothing sounded appealing. Nothing was palatable at all. But yeah, I think my crew gave me some broth, which was that kind of turned things around, and then some mashed potatoes, and then I was good to go.
Mashed potatoes, they're always so good in a race.
I like mashed potatoes, but I don't like the broth.
See, I love mashed potatoes and broth together. I think.
Well, this was it may sound gross, but I'm vegetarian, so this is mushroom broth, and it had that really nice umami flavor, and it was just salty. And I was like, oh, I could give me another cup of that, and I
that
chugged another
sound
cup.
bad to me. Does not.
Yeah, it was actually really good.
Doesn't sound bad.
Yeah, it was good.
Well, I'm glad you were able to get it back under control and end up like me at mile 81.
Yeah, I hate that you suffered that long because, I mean, going back to the Troublesome Hollow, that was the worst hour of my life. I can't imagine doing that for 20 miles.
You know what I'm proud of, though? I'm proud of Mary. Because, Mary paced me from mile 70 to like 83 and 84. And then Stamen paced me from 84 to the end, I believe. Running with Mary, we ran, all the way up to the end to where we swapped. Right with Chris, whatever aid station that was, around 80-ish. But I had stopped a few times with Mary dry heaving towards the end. We're talking like mile 80, 81. Like I would keep running, but I'd stop for a minute, and I literally got down on my hands and knees because I was like dry heaving so hard.
So hard.
And what's so funny, I love this. Mary said, I don't really rather know whether to be the fiance or the coach. Or I was like, you were perfect. I was like, you be you.
She's so
just
cute.
Looked at me. I love this. She looked at me. I love tough love. Matt knows.
Oh, yeah.
But she just looked at me. She said, well, there's obviously nothing coming out, so you can keep running.
So Mary.
And I was like, damn, I'm trying. I just looked around and I said, I'm trying.
Yeah.
We started running again, and I ran all the way to Chris. But when it finally did start coming out, like that's when it went downhill. Like the dry heaving, it hurt. But, when you're dry heaving, it's like, it's not, you're still keeping the fuel in, like the food stuff. But once you start puking like that much, you're just running on water and prayers,
Yeah, exactly.
What really hurts is after you get the dry heave, and then you've got where everything comes out, and then you've got the dry heave after everything's out.
I didn't do any of that.
And then there's nothing else, and so
that's where I was at Troublesome Hollow, and it hurt.
Oh God! Yeah, that's painful.
Yeah,
you might get some stomach acid. And like, this is not good. This should not be coming up.
Right.
Yeah, I was proud of Mary though. Like, I would much rather someone be like that.
She had a good point though.
Right.
Get up. Nothing's coming out.
She said, obviously not throwing up, so you just keep running and you can obviously take more fuel. And I was like, and she was just serious. And I was like, I like it.
That's funny.
Well, April, let's move on to some questions. But before we turn it over to Matt, I want to ask you a question that we ask every listener on this podcast. And that is, why? When you're doing a 50K and you're on your hands and knees, gut-wrenching, puking, finally make it to the finish line just to continue to go over in the bushes and throw up by yourself.
Right.
Why? Why continue to do this?
So I would say my why is a moving target, and I would probably everyone agrees with that or can kind of feel that on some level, because what motivates you in your 20s may be completely different than what motivates you in your 40s. For me, it's kind of run the gamut. Like I said before, I initially running was for weight loss. I've used it for healing, for managing grief, for a way to escape. I think right now I'm in the season of my life where I want to be an inspiration to my kids. I want to set a good example for them and show them that, if you can set big goals and work hard to achieve them, they're not just going to happen. You got to work for it. And I am a very goal-oriented person, and I love setting goals and achieving them, and exceeding them is even sweeter. So I think, probably now that's where I am, is, trying to set a good example. And if I can inspire other people, then that's even better. And I will say, for any other women or anyone that's in their same shoes as me, where I felt like, I'm, a few years ago, I'm getting older, I'm not going to get any faster. Maybe I should just start hiking instead of running. That's not necessarily true, because I'm 48, and just this year I've hit lifetime PRs in every distance from the 1 mile to the 100 mile. So if anything, I would say if it's something you want, go after it, put in the work, and it'll pay off.
Absolutely. You're a prime example of that.
Yeah.
You've been putting in the work since 2021, and every year you can see it. So congratulations.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
Great job. And I love the why. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And it's fun to see people, like the people that don't really care about being competitive. They're just out there trying to do something to be their best.
Yeah.
And like that's
Definitely.
That's why I love this sport so much. And that's like, went home and took a nap, or Airbnb and took a nap just to come back to see that, because a lot of this is, it's people finishing their very first 100 milers. Like Mary had 2 runners just finished. It's the first time they've ever ran 100 miles.
That's awesome.
At the Yeti. So, Rebecca Bird, Clint Simmons, congratulations. Like they did it.
Yeah,
they may
that's
never
awesome.
do it again. Don't know.
Yeah.
They did it. And that's what's so cool. And, and we got back in time to see Robert Brooks, another guy that we're friends with on Facebook. We'd never met him. We've just always talked to him through races, and I got to meet him there and got to see him finish. And it's just so cool to see people, because like you never know what anybody's going through. You don't know
sure.
what their journey has been. You don't know if this is their very first race.
Right.
Just like you were saying, like people may not know like if they can do it or not, and to come out and cheer them on and to see them, it is just so rewarding. I love it.
It really is.
So fun.
And especially I feel like the mid and back of the packers, to me, that's more impressive and praiseworthy than the front runners, because they're out there for sometimes twice as long, grinding it out, facing the self-doubt twice as long as the people up front, having to problem solve twice as long, and running all day long, all through the night. When the sun comes up, they're still out there, grinding. So for me, that's just really a special thing to witness. Those people that, like you said, they're not necessarily out there for a podium or PR, but they're working harder than anyone to try to finish something they started. So,
did you know that there was a guy there trying to break the Guinness World Record?
I saw that.
Yeah,
Do you know how it turned out?
He DNF'd. He didn't
Oh, he
finish, but he did make it pretty far. But I think he's so big he has a hard time finding shoes that fit his feet.
Oh my goodness!
And so he wears a size 16.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, and
wow.
So I guess he was in between the wide and the regular, and I guess it caused some foot issues. But he made it pretty far. But he was trying to set the Guinness World Record for the largest person to ever finish a 100-mile race. So that was kind of cool. But
just for him to put himself out there.
People.
Yeah.
He was passing people, like even up to that point, like he sat down on a bench, but like he had passed the last place person, was moving on through, like he was doing good.
Yeah.
But I love that. Like if you ever want to see something that, just human will and like people truly doing something that they never thought they could do, and you see emotion and see raw emotion, go watch the end of a 100-miler. You're right.
Absolutely.
Like, go watch it.
Yeah.
I would rather see someone finish DF at like dead last than to watch the first place
Same.
Because it's so much better to see.
Yeah.
Like, it's really cool to see someone like you to conquer, like, to have a great race and do that. But if you're there for the excitement and you want to see what a race is about, you watch those last 10 people finish.
Oh, absolutely.
Try not to cry.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, cause I love it so much. Like, it's so fun.
Yeah.
It truly is. I'm glad we had that little conversation. That was perfect. Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
Oh, you're good. All right. The first question is, what has been your favorite Yeti event so far?
Oh man. Well,
I'd
have to say this one.
Yeah, you'll never forget this race.
Yeah, this one's always it would take a lot to top this one. But I just love the Yeti community. From my very first interaction with them, like I said before, I felt like I belonged. And Jason and Samantha, and I don't want to start naming names, so I'll leave someone out, but they go out of their way to make everyone feel included and feel special and feel like, they make the last person across the finish line feel just as special as the winner and everyone in between. And not just Jason and the rest of the staff. It's all the Yeti runners too. It's such a supportive community, and I really think it's a privilege to be a part of. And I love getting a Yeti race on my calendar, just because I know it's going to be a party and it's going to be a celebration of everyone's achievements, not just the winners. So, I love all the Yeti events, but this one takes the cake for sure.
Most definitely. The second part of that question is, what has been your most difficult Yeti event that you've done?
Well, I think we covered that too. Troublesome Hollow.
The shortest one?
The shortest one, yeah. And it wasn't even the fire tower climb. It was just, I just had a bad day.
It happens to all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said in the beginning, it might have been before we were talking, I can't remember, but we need to be humbled. Like, yeah, it's good for us to
get
humbled and take something away. And that probably helped you do what you did this year.
Oh, definitely.
You know, probably like, oh, I got work to do.
Yeah.
It definitely was a reset and kind of knocked me down a couple notches, which I needed, which is it was good.
Well, it worked.
Yeah. All right. At what moment did you realize that you were going to win the Yeti 100, and can you describe it?
So it was, I don't know mileage wise when it was, but I know it was dark and I was getting close. I was headed back towards Abingdon on the last, out and back. And runners coming the opposite direction kept telling me, they're like, Donuts, you're up in the front. I was like, well, I'm not sure how far back behind she is, because I just didn't know if someone was going to catch up with it. And they were like, no, not just female, you're first overall. And I was like, really? And so once that really became apparent that indeed was the case, I felt myself getting emotional, but I just had to keep it in check because I didn't want to fall apart. So to describe the feeling, it was surreal and it was kind of hard to believe. And I carried that with me all the way to the finish line. Even crossing the finish line, it didn't feel real or possible. But definitely the biggest, celebratory moment I've had in my, I don't really consider myself having a racing career, running career, but in my racing career, yeah, it was the biggest moment I've ever had. It was really special. And to get to share that with people I love, with my crew, my family, all my Yeti friends, and the Jason and Samantha and Jarian and Becca and all the ones at the finish line, that was just really, really special.
Well, you have a good running career. What are you talking about?
Well, not super experienced, but
yeah, you've got a great career so far. So
thank you.
I bet you got plenty of trophies up there.
Yeah, 20 trophies, 27 races.
20 trophies.
Pretty good.
All right, the last question is, what is next? Are you coming back for the Yeti series in 2026?
So I think I kind of want to go out on a high note with the Yeti 100. So I think I'll come back next year to volunteer and to help however I can, because I really love volunteering as well. But I do have another Yeti race on the calendar. I registered for the Canebrake 200 next year. That's in March. So I'm very excited about that. And that's the one, Samantha is race directing that one. And I'm really excited to be a part of that. It's in Atlanta. It's at Sweetwater Creek State Park. Ultimately, I would love to do a point-to-point 200. Cocodona is really at least for now, my dream race. But I'm not anywhere near ready for something of that magnitude. So I would love to kind of get a feel for the 200, for the distance and all the challenges that come along with it, but have the safety net of it being a loop course instead of getting stuck out in the desert. And
definitely a good test.
Yeah.
And what better place to, attempt that distance than with the Yetis. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
That'd
be fun. And that's like you said, that's a good spot to actually test how you could do a 200, because who knows, like, until you've actually done one, like when you can sleep, how to fuel, like how's your stomach going to be after 2 days of running, it's a lot of unknowns there. I can say I've never really ran a 200-mile race like that. We did Ball
State.
But that's completely different than actually racing, like Ball State, there are no aid stations. Like, you're just trying to make it to a Dollar General to live, but to actually be in a race and trying to race a race, I know some people race Ball State. Like,
they do.
But, in order to race Ball State, like, you've got to sit down and like make a mind map of like where you're going to stop at a gas station to fuel yourself, and where am I going to buy water.
You got to have one of them spreadsheets that Ken had where every mile, every distance, everything was there.
To have an actual race where you have aid stations set up and you're boom, 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 in and out, and like, here's my sleep station, like much different. Like when you're in Ball State, you're like, I'm tired. I'm not going to make it to the hotel, so I'm going to sleep in this ditch.
Oh my goodness.
So So like I would have no idea how I would do in a 200-mile race, even though I've ran 300 miles. I have no idea. Like
Yeah.
I want to do a 200 or 300 at some point. Like I want to do Cocodona. I actually thought about signing up for Cocodona this coming year, but my daughter graduates right around that time, and I was like,
Okay.
nope. But got an
Do
athlete.
it in 2027. That's when I want to do it for my 50th.
That might be when I do it.
Yeah.
I'd love to do
All
it.
right.
I would
That'd
love
be
to do
awesome.
it, and I would love to do the Eastern
States too.
Eastern States
Southern
200.
States.
Or Southern States.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I meant to say the East Coast 200, which
Yeah.
is Eastern or Southern
Yeah,
States.
the Southern States.
I'd like to
Yeah,
do
that
it
one looks really good too.
But I definitely would love to do Cocodona. I think they've done it enough where it's dialed in, and you get a true, experience of what a 250-mile race should be like.
Right.
So
Yeah.
maybe 2027 is it.
Yeah.
Then I might have to do it with you.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
But hey, thank you so much for being on here. Do you have any questions?
Oh, thank
for
you
us?
guys. Yeah. So, my first question is for Matt. I was listening to one of y'all's episodes recently, and did I hear you right that you race every 2 weeks?
Pretty much. I raced last weekend.
And your body holds up?
Yeah.
Well, now he's not running ultras though. Like
No, some of these
he's
are
racing
short
like
distance.
the local trail races.
Like so, Knoxville
Okay.
Trail Club has a trail series where they'll do like at the end of the year they got 150K of the whole series. Most of it's like I did a 17.5 miler last weekend. Then they have like 10 milers and stuff like that. So I do just like I use those as like speed work and stuff
Okay.
like that.
Are these all trail races?
Most of them, yeah.
Yeah. But that's why you said you missed David being on the trails with you because he's been running road.
Yeah, so like we do group runs for like our events, and David's out there running 30 miles on a gravel path, but yeah, I run like every 2 weeks some kind of race.
Yeah, we are fortunate that obviously we have our own races, but we're in a good area where we have Chattanooga and Knoxville like on both sides of us. So we have the Chattanooga Track Club and the Knoxville Track Club with almost the same distance apart for us. And the Knoxville Track Club has just grown incredibly.
It sure has.
And they have their own trail series, and you can sign up for their trail series, and it's like eight races now.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. And they only have 150K, and that will be the week after. Now that week I will be doing back-to-back 50Ks. That'll be doing Firewater on the 25th, and then November 1st, or I think it's the week after, it's another 50K.
Yeah, and it's like crazy cheap to sign up for the whole series. It's like $100 and something to race all of them.
That's a steal.
And I did it. I did it when I first started running, kind of like how Matt just started running, but I did it when I first started running, so I could learn the trails around Knoxville.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it helped me. And I think Matt was doing that this year.
Yeah,
that's
one of the things I wanted to do, because we got all of our events that we do here, but there's so many state parks and so many areas that I've never been to.
Yeah.
When you can go sign up for a 10 miler for $15, or go sign up for the Big South Fork. I've never been to Big South Fork. Sign up for like $50. You do 17.5 miles.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do those.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so like the first series all the way up until September, you sign up for like $100-something, and you get all these events. And then they do 3 longer ones towards the end, which is Big South Fork, and then Norris Dam 50K and Dirty South at Imes.
Yeah,
and those are all different. They're all separate, but they're still like $50. So it's
wow. You're
not paying crazy money.
But we're very fortunate in this area. We have so many race directors. There's so many races, and then it's just we're pretty lucky because you can almost run a race every weekend here.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
so kind of cool.
And then we're right next to Georgia too, and then Georgia's got their own like 10,000 races that they put on down there. So
right.
And North Carolina's got quite a few now. I mean, I know that North Carolina's grown quite a bit. I don't know.
Yeah, it has grown a lot.
I don't know if it's as big as it is here yet, but it may be. I have no idea. But I know it has grown a lot in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Well, they got some good runners that keep coming over here.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Now, okay, David, I have a question for you. Tell me about the World's Fair. This is going to be the first year you're doing it. Next year you're putting it on?
Yes. Yep. So we just actually had the course measured and certified a couple weeks ago. So that's all been submitted. But it's going to be a 0.57 mile loop.
Oh,
Yeah. Around the
wow.
sun sphere. Now, here's what's really cool. I went and ran when we were doing the course certification. I just went ahead and did my long run there because I was kind of like tapering down. And I think it was a down week. And I ran 12 miles there. And in 12 miles, I got 100 feet elevation gain. So it's going to be, and the reason we set this course up is because we want it to be certified. So we're getting the course certified. Next, we're going to set it up as a USATF sanctioned event.
Okay.
We want people to come out and set the state record, and you can go for a national record. That's
Awesome.
the whole point of this race is we're going to offer a 3-hour, 6-hour, 12-hour, 24-hour, 50K and a 50 mile and 100K. We're offering all of those options. So if you want to decide to come break the 3-hour state record, or you want to go after the 50K national record, or you want to go after, the 24-hour record, whatever you want to try to do. And we know some people have signed up because they want to try to qualify for Team USA, the 24-hour
that's
team.
awesome.
So there's nothing around this area that offers
Like
all
that.
that option,
Yeah.
all those options. But also the other thing was like, what better place to do it? Like World's Fair Park is so nostalgic. Like it was built in
definitely.
1983.
Yeah.
It was such a huge deal. And what's really cool is Knoxville's called the Scruffy City. Do you know why it's called the Scruffy City?
I do not.
So when they chose Knoxville to do the World's Fair Park, one of the people in media, I can't remember his name now, but he called Knoxville, like he was talking about it, and he's like, well, that's just a scruffy little city.
Okay.
And it's stuck. So like when you go through Knoxville in downtown, like there's literally shops called Scruffy City, whatever.
That's funny.
And
Okay.
there's shirts that say Scruffy City. So, and that's what's funny. That's how the name became Scruffy City. So really cool, but there's just a lot of history. And like you're literally running 10 feet from the sun sphere. Like you're running around and you're running
I
around
looked at
the
the
water.
map. That looks really cool.
Yeah, it's such a pretty area. The hotel is right on the course.
Oh, that's nice.
Literally you walk downstairs and you're standing on the course from the hotel.
Okay.
So it's super convenient, great spot. Everything's around us. We're going to try to we got to work on like food trucks and stuff. We're going to try to make it like a really fun event, but it's really about people coming out and doing what they, setting their own PR, but also if you want to do something really special and like try to set a national record or a state record, you can do it in one of the, most historical places in Knoxville.
Yeah,
which is the
that's
Sun
very
Sphere,
cool.
like really cool.
Yeah.
But that was what it was all about. And truly, I'm just shocked that no one else had done it at this point.
No kidding.
We'd been trying to find somewhere.
What gave you the idea? Like, how did you come up with that?
But myself and Stamen, like me, Matt, and Mike and Chris had already, we'd all kind of talked a little bit about wanting to put on a fast race. But really, me and Chris started really talking about it when he set the course for the state record last year at the Pistol. And we were talking some, and I was like, man, I said, we need to find somewhere in Knoxville that's fast and flat. Because the Pistol's a great race.
Yeah.
It is not flat, but it is a great race. Like, it's a great race to go PR and run. It's a good course, but it's not going to be somewhere where you could run your absolute fastest. Like, it's not that flat, but it's a great course. But we were like, we want to find somewhere that's flat, fast, and just like a mile loop. Because, the Pistol's like a 10-mile loop, which is awesome. You don't get bored with it.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, like if you're trying to break a state record or a national record, like most people do it on a track.
Right.
Because everything's right there with you, like your water and everything. You don't have to carry anything. So we were literally, me and Chris were like going and running around high schools. We ran a track. We were running these things, and we finally found this one over beside a high school, and we were like, this is it. It was a pretty good, there's like a 0.9 mile loop or something. And we were like, okay, this is it. It's lit up. And then, it was just a couple weeks went by, and we were texting back and forth, and I was just sitting there, and I was like, I just texted him back, and I said, why don't we do it at World's Fair Park? And he's like, oh, that's a good idea. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, I wonder if they'll let us. And then I immediately just started emailing her
Yeah.
and there was a few roadblocks that were going to happen, but with us being a nonprofit, it helped there.
Okay.
But the other piece was that one of our RDs, Micah, he works for one of the services that they have, and that helped us like with absorbing some of the cost.
Okay.
Because it was going to be really expensive to put the event on there. Still a little expensive, but not as bad. But it all just kind of worked out in the end. And what's really cool is like it's because the people that I have met, or we have met, I guess I should say, we have met in the running community.
That's awesome.
So it all came together because of that. And like now I think it's going to be something really special. And like the belt buckle is going to be this big sun sphere.
Oh yeah.
It's really cool. Matt had shared it on social media not too long ago, but it's this big sun sphere and it's actually the same color as the sun sphere. The whole metal's silver, but the sun sphere is blue with the gold, and it's
super cool.
Pretty. It's going to be a really fun event. It may take a few years for it to take off, but we actually already have quite a few people signed up. I think we'll end up having to cap it.
Yeah, we will.
At 150 the first year, just to make sure that people actually can run.
Yep.
I don't want it to be so much that people show up and it's just crowded. Because a half-mile loop could get pretty congested, but it literally has hardly any elevation, so it's going to be a great course.
How far is that from where you live?
It's about
40 minutes.
35, 40 minutes.
Oh, so it's close. Okay.
Yeah, not bad at all. Yeah, we're like dead center of Knoxville and Chattanooga almost. It takes about an hour to get to Chattanooga and about 45 minutes to get to Knoxville.
Okay.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, you'll have to put that one on your bucket list.
I know it's when you I don't know where I heard about it. I guess maybe in one of your podcasts, or maybe you posted about it. I was like, oh, that looks really fun and interesting.
Mm-hmm. I would not recommend doing it before cane break.
Yeah. No. When is it? Is it in April?
Yeah. When's cane break?
March.
Oh,
so that might not work either.
Yeah, no, you might. But come hang out with us.
I might be bro. Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, come hang out with us.
Now, are you doing no business?
That's
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was supposed to. My daughter actually, they're doing a graduate or a senior night for her the same night now.
Yeah.
So I can't run it. So I'm going to do her senior night. They're doing something at the football game, and they're going to recognize her for her golf. They went undefeated this year.
Saw that. That was awesome.
Yeah. And that's actually that night they get to do the senior night and recognize them. And
okay.
Mary told me, she's like, I think it's the same day. I was like, I don't know if Callie would want me there. And I'm like, hey, Callie, when is senior night? I was like, that's the same time as my no business race. I was like, she's like, you're going to be there, Dad. I'm like, okay. She's like, you have to be there. You got to walk me out on the field. I was like, I got you. I'm there. I won't miss that.
Oh, man.
I will not miss that.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to run no business, but I'll either be working no business or Firewater. Matt's going to run Firewater and work it. And then, but they're the same day, and East Coast Adventures runs aid stations for both of them.
Yep.
So I'm just going to go wherever they need me. So if they need me at no business, I'm going there. If they need me at Firewater, I'm going there. So, but I can't go till I'm done with the senior night.
Right.
You going to be at no business?
No, I'm not ready. No.
I didn't know if you were working.
No, I was thinking about volunteering, but yeah.
It's fun. We have an aid station there, so
we do.
East Coast Adventures does. Yeah, so if you decide you want to, let me know, and I'll send you a link to where we're at.
Okay, great. Sounds good.
We have a fun time.
I'm sure.
Well,
I'd love to be a part of it.
April, thank you so much for being on here, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Have had an awesome year. I mean, even with Troublesome Hollow, I realized that race was not what you wanted.
It was just a little
but you still finished in fourth place.
It's very troublesome.
It
lived up to the name for sure.
But you still finished fourth place. I mean, that's what's really cool is you've had such a good year. Yeah. And if you look at your races so far this year, which is pretty incredible, you've done let's see, Umstead, Troublesome Hollow, Damn Yeti 50, and Yeti 50. So of those, you've podiumed 3 out of the 4.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Thank you.
Barely missed podium on the 4th one.
Yeah.
So that's not a bad year. I mean, that's pretty impressive. So
thank you. I appreciate it.
truly can't wait to see what you continue to do as you
Thank you.
further dial in, your training and your strength training, and you've got just a huge opportunity in this sport. So it's fun watching you, and it was fun watching you at Yeti. Like, I will say this, and we'll just end on this, but it's fun to see someone. This is one of the things that, is dear to my heart, because I try to be this person. And I think, Matt does, Mike does, Mary does, but, and I saw it in you, and I love this. And it's, no matter, like, you're having a good day or you're having the best day, you're kind, you're humble, and you care about the other runners. And like, that is the most important thing. It doesn't matter whether you win, doesn't matter if you lose.
Agree.
It's how you treat people. And you can have the shittiest day or you can have the best day.
Mm-hmm.
That should never change. No. And it didn't change with you. Like, even at Troublesome Hollow, even at Damn Yeti 50, at Yeti 100, like, it doesn't matter how your performance was. You're always kind, you always care, and you talk to the people around you, and you care about them. So thank you for being that runner.
Thank you for saying that.
That is the most important thing in this community. So we can't ever lose that. So thank you for being that.
Yeah, and thank you, because that's how I first kind of got to know about you, and you and Mary, and then Josh too. When I met him at Damn Yeti, I see all those attributes in all three of you, and a bunch of the Yeti runners, of course. But
yeah, and what's crazy is you say that about Josh, and like, we met Josh at Damn Yeti 50, and he's married. He's going to marry me and Mary.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so special.
We've not told many people that, but like, we didn't know when we met him, like, he's a preacher. So like, we just got talking to him, and like, they're going to marry us next year.
That is so special. Wait, you just met him just this year at Damn Yeti? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, he's such a nice guy.
Yeah. But small world, and that's the thing. It's like,
that's so sweet.
You never know the people that you meet. So like, if you're having a bad day and you're just a butthole to somebody, you may have missed an opportunity to
absolutely
to know somebody that's pretty damn amazing, and like, Josh is amazing, you're amazing, and like, it's a pleasure to know you both. But like, if you let your emotions take over to where you're not kind to people,
you can miss out on that opportunity.
The whole, like, this whole trail running community in general, like ultra running, the reason it's so popular is because of that reason. Like,
definitely,
that's so special. So like, every now and then you meet a person that, isn't like that. But for the most part, 99% of the runners in the world are. And I love it when it's people that are on the podium that are that way too. Because sometimes that is not the case. So
definitely.
Thank you for being that person.
Well, thank you for saying that. And thank you. And congratulations on your finish as well.
Thank you. Yeah, mine was probably a little more dramatic than yours, but I had that Troublesome Hollow finish. But all good. Well, April, thank you so much for taking the time to be on here. And
thank you for inviting me. It's been really fun talking to you guys.
Absolutely. You did great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Thank y'all.